At approximately 8:18 tonight, Austin 911 received multiple phone calls reporting a major collision at in front of the Chewy's near some food trucks. The initial information that we received said that there were two vehicles involved. It was a T-bone type collision, and one of the vehicles was pushed into a group of pedestrians that were near the food truck. At 8:24, our first ambulance arrived on scene. We had 11 total patients involved. 3 of them were transported to Del Seton Medical Center. Of those 3, 1 had potentially serious injuries, 1 had serious, potentially life-threatening injuries, and 1 had non-life-threatening injuries. 6 patients were transported to South Austin Medical Center. Of those, 1 had serious, potentially life-threatening injuries, 1 had potentially serious injuries, and the remaining 4 had non-life-threatening injuries. 2 of the patients that were involved were declared trauma alerts for us. 1 went to Del Seton, 1 went to South Austin. All the patients involved were adults. 2 of the patients involved refused any treatment or transport to the hospital from us. Does anybody have any questions? That's really most of what I have.
What about the drivers?
So the drivers were some of those involved. One of them, I believe, refused transport, and then another was transported.
Are you able to tell us which driver and which car?
No, I don't have that. I don't have those details. 11 total involved. Correct. So the 2, and when we say they refuse EMS treatment or transport, that means they may have been a little bit scraped up, but certainly not anything to need any kind of treatment or assessment or transport. They were able to walk away. Yeah, sure. So trauma alerts or trauma activation is a classification system that we use in conjunction with our local hospitals. And essentially what it does is it gives them advance notice that we have a patient that may be in need of either serious trauma services or maybe an operating room. So typically those are going to be the more seriously injured patients that we see.
Are you able to confirm which vehicle T-boned the other one?
I am not. That would probably be a good question for APD, and I'm not totally certain if they're quite ready to talk about that.
Yeah. So, I'm Sergeant Moore. I'm with the Austin Police Department, Region 4, David 300s. At this time, we're not going to give that information out. We're still investigating this accident to see what the details are, as there are multiple injuries, all transported to the hospital, including one of the drivers of the vehicle. So we're continuing just to investigate this collision.
So, it was 2 cars and 1 team on the other, and then 1 got pushed in the food truck?
That is correct.
Okay. Was the food truck, were they doing business at the time?
Yeah, again, this is a preliminary part of the investigation. From what we know is it seems like there were some people standing in front of the food truck, and then one of the vehicles got pushed in as a result of the collision, got pushed into the area of the food truck. So that's kind of where we're at.
And I'm sorry, just to clarify, one of the drivers was transported to the hospital, but one was not?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. What driver was that? Is it the one in the Scion or the truck?
Yeah, we can't give details on that yet.
Are the drivers cooperating?
So far they are, yes.
Just to recap, all adults, no children?
Correct. All adults involved.
Okay. And it was 11 total hurt, but how many went to the hospital? 3?
No, so 11 total patients involved, 9 were transported to the hospital, and 2 refused EMS transport.
Were the drivers the only ones in the vehicles, or do they have passengers?
I do not know that.
Yeah, as far as I know, there's just single occupants in each vehicle.
When you say refused EMS, how does that mean EMS recommended to go with and they decided not to, or?
So I don't know exactly how it happened. I was not on scene at that point. However, typically it's people that are able to walk away from the incident. So not people that are in any real danger.
Do you know what initially caused the T-bone?
Yeah, again, we can't get into. We're still investigating that part, so do not know.
And too early, I assume, for any sort of possible charges, anything like that.
That's correct.
Anybody else? Good?
Okay.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you guys.
Y'all have a good night.